Great. Where are the others? Only few I can see in the group. Only a few people have joined. Okay, let it be. Others will join on their own timings then. Yeah. So can anybody tell me what are the stored procedures? Yeah, Sirisha, can you explain what are the stored procedures? Hello? Yeah, Saisha. Saisha, please explain what are the stored procedures?
Store procedure we use only for the retrieval of data from table, and the syntax is create procedure and the name, and then as begin, then select from the table, and then end.
Hi, anybody can speak or not? If you guys don't want to answer or am I not audible, what's going on? Let me see. Just a minute. Let me see my Bluetooth. Is it active or off? On or off? Oh, yeah. Now you guys are audible. Yeah, Saisha, please explain what are the stored procedures?
We use a stored procedure for only for retrieval of data from the table,
Mhm.
and we use the syntax create procedure, then name, as begin, then we select from the table, and then end.
Okay, why we are using stored procedure then? We can, simply use a select statement to view the details that are stored in the table. Then why are we preferring stored procedures?
Sir, we are using store procedure to reduce the time of compilation every time we run any code. So it will reduce around 60% of the time, and it will take only 40% of the time when we are using store procedure to run any code.
To reduce only the execution per time or also the parsing time?
Parsing and compilation time.
Mhm. Okay, good. So let's begin now then. Okay, yesterday we created some stored procedure. Also, we used variables, right? Pass the variables to fetch the data. Now today we will create a stored procedure to set the data. Okay, to set the data means we will give some parameters inside it. If for that particular parameters value is available, it will fetch the value. But if the value is not available, then it will ask us to set the value. Okay. Yeah. So let me create one stored procedure to set the data. So I will simply start with the syntax like create procedure followed by the procedure name, and I'm giving procedure name as a set data. And as we are creating a stored procedure, I'm starting with a CSP, custom stored procedure underscore set data. Now, while setting data, we need to declare some parameter. Even while fetching data or getting data, we need to declare some parameter if needed. Okay. So what am I doing here? I'm passing 5k parameters because how many columns I'm having in my employee table? If I view my employee table, then you can see these 5 columns are there. Employee ID, first name, last name, salary, and address. So what am I doing here? I'm creating a stored procedure to set data in an employee table if the given employee ID is not present in that table. That means if we view our employee table again, then we can see how many records are present in this table. How many records are present in my employee table?
8.
Okay, great. So suppose if I give here, fetch me the data for employee ID 9. Now, as employee ID 9 records are not available, it will not give us any records, right? Yeah. So if there are no records available, then we will set our data. Okay. And for that, we are creating a stored procedure. So I need to declare all the column variables here. Okay. So I'm declaring @employee ID, giving data type integer, employee first name, giving data type varchar and character length as 100. Then next, declaring employee last name, character varchar data type, 100 length. Then salary column, integer data type, address column, varchar data type. Okay. And then in as and begin, we will pass the logic. Now first we will pass the parameters. Then as after begin, now while begin, first we will write select star from employee where employee ID is equal to @employee ID. That means what are we doing here? We are equalizing declared employee ID with the employee ID that is present in our employee column. That means if I write @employee ID is equal to 8, then it should give me the record for employee ID is equal to 8. Employee ID is equal to 8. So that's why what am I doing here? First I'm writing select star from employee. Star means all. Okay, so select all from employee, and where I'm equalizing this employee ID column with the declared variable @employee ID. Okay, so if I'm passing here employee ID is equal to 8, then it can fetch me the records for this employee ID 8. If I'm passing employee ID is equal to 5, it can fetch me the records for employee ID is equal to 5. But what if I'm passing such an employee ID that is not existing here in my table? That is not existing here in my table. So that's why we are writing a stored procedure or creating a stored procedure to set data for those records that are not present in our employee table. Okay. So for that, what we need to do then, we will write first select all from employee, and we will equalize employee ID column from employee table with the declared employee ID variable. Now, if declared employee ID is not exist, that's why I'm writing here if not exist. Means suppose here I'm passing employee ID is equal to 9. Now records for employee ID 9 are not present in my table. So if not exist, I'm writing here. If records are not exist that for the employee ID that we are declaring here, then what to do? Then insert into which table? Employee table. In employee table, which are the columns there? Employee ID, employee first name, employee last name, salary and address. And which values we will insert in these places? The employee ID that we are declaring. So select @employee ID, @employee first name, @employee last name, @salary, and @address. So in the employee ID column, the employee ID that we are passing that is not existing in this employee table will be inserted into ID section. Employee first name here in the employee first name, @employee last name in the employee last name column, salary in the salary column, and address in the address column. Else, now suppose if not exist, then we are inserting the values with this declared variable. And else, suppose I'm passing here employee ID is equal to 8. No records for employee ID 8 are already present. So we will print here else, print employee ID already exists. Please choose a new ID. Got it? So how are we setting data? First, we are creating a procedure. We are giving the procedure name as a CSP underscore set data. Then I'm declaring the parameters. I'm declaring all the column values as the parameters here. Then I'm starting with as begin. First, I'm writing select star from employee, and where employee ID is equal to @employee ID. If employee ID is equal to @employee ID is not exist, if not exist, then insert into this employee table whatever the values we are passing in a declare variable. And if it is exist, then we will print employee ID already exists. Please choose a new ID, and we are ending our logic here. Okay, so let me store this. Now you can see commands completed successfully. That means the stored procedure we created. Now let me execute here. Now suppose what am I doing here? I'm passing employee ID is equal to 9. Passing here employee ID is equal to 9. 9 is not present, I think. Yeah. Let me pass here employee ID 8. And if I write here execute stored procedure set data and passing employee ID is equal to 8, then what it is showing me, employee ID already exists. Please choose a new ID, because 8 employee ID already exists in our database. Now instead of 8, what will I do? I will pass here 9. And what will I do? In first name, I'm passing Leo. Last name, I'm passing Smith. Salary, I'm passing here 2000. And country or the address, I'm passing here India. Now, employee ID 9 is present in my database or not? Is it present? Is it present?
No, sir.
No.
No, it's not present. So it will, when I execute, then you can see one row affected. And now if I view my employee table, then you can see the records for employee ID 9 are inserted. Employee ID 9, first name Leo, last name Smith, salary 2000 and address is US. Got it? Any doubt in this syntax to how to set data, or any doubt in this logic that I written in the begin and end block? If there is any doubt, then please do ask me. Else you can write this syntax. Write the stored procedure that we created. And if there is any doubt, please ask me. Once it is done writing that syntax, let me know, okay? Is it done? Yes or no? And if there is any doubt, please
Yes,
ask me.
yes.
Okay, shall I go ahead or shall I wait for a while?
Yes, sir, done.
Okay, great. Now we will start with the views. So any doubt in stored procedure? How to create stored procedure? Why are we creating stored procedure? How we can use parameter inside the stored procedure to get data? How we can pass parameters in a stored procedure to set data or to insert new values? Any doubt in this?
No, sir.
No doubt. Okay, let's move ahead then. Okay. Views. We will start with the new topic called as views. Okay. So what are the views? I will explain you by taking very simple example. Okay. Views are like, um, suppose I'm working in some department, like now I'm working in a data department. Okay. And one of the person is working in, for example, in billings department. Okay. I'm working in a data department and one of the person is working in a billings department. Now we both are working in the same company, but domain is different. Okay. And billings department head came to me and he asked me, okay, Venkat, can you please give me the details of our customer and their rates? Details of their customer, details of our customers and their rates. Now suppose if I want to hide some details before sharing with him, I can hide those details by creating a view on that table. Or for example, billings department came to me and he asked me the details of all the employees that working in our company. Now let's take example of this employee table. He's asking me the access of this employee table. He just want to see how many employees working in our department or in our company, and he just want to have access of this employee table. Now, before giving him access of this employee table, if suppose I want to highlight, I want to hide some details. For example, suppose my first two employees are, first employee is a CEO of my company and second employee is CFO of my company. And what I want to do while sharing this table with the billings department guy or other department guy, what I want to do, I want to hide the information for these two employees. Then I can hide that particular information and I can share that table with anyone by creating the views on that table. By creating the view on that table. Even suppose I want to share this table, employee table with him, but while sharing, I don't want to, show the salary column to him. I don't want to show him that salary column. I just want to, share employee ID, first name, last name, and the address column. Getting my point? So that time we can create a views. So views could be looked as an additional layer on top of the table. Remember this word, additional layer, where on the top of the table, which enables us to protect sensitive information based on our need. That means views are just the additional layer on the top of the table. That means our views are not getting stored in our database. Views are getting stored on our database or not? Let me check one more time still. Okay, I'm opening my server. I'm refreshing it. If I expand my database and if I expand my SQL Jan query, okay, views are stored here. Okay, yeah. Views are stored, but views are just the additional layer on the top of the table. That means if I am creating any view on this employee table, it will not change the structure of my employee table. It will just create a view and that view would hide some sensitive information from that table. But it will not make any permanent changes in my employee table. Got it? And why we will use
Yes, sir.
views? We will use views so that while sharing any data, we can protect the sensitive information based upon our needs. Now, suppose if I want to share this employee table, and while sharing this employee table, I don't want to share this salary column. So what I can do, I can hide that salary column before sharing him by creating the view. Okay. So view is just a query on top of the table, and this is just a layer on the top of the table. Views do not store any data physically in the server. Views names are stored. Okay, you can see here views names are stored, but physical data is not stored in this view because it is the layer on the top of the table. So views are stored, but data is not stored because it will be retrieving data from the table on which we are creating the views. So instance the data when requested, the query is executed and the data is returned. Okay. So this is the theory part of views. So views are nothing but the layer on the top of the table and which will help us to protect our sensitive information based on our need. And the data will not be physically stored on the server. Instead of that, it will just store the name there, but data will not be stored. Got it? Yeah. So how we can create a view? Same syntax we will follow, create or alter. Okay. So I'm creating a view. So I will start with just the create view. I'm creating a view. So I will write only create view and followed by the view name. Now I want to create a view to get employee data. So I'm writing here create view, get employee data. And what am I doing here? I'm using some acronym here. VW. VW for the view. Just a minute, guys. Okay. So what is the syntax to create a view? Create view followed by our view name. Now view name is get employee data. And as we are creating view, and so that we can understand it is a view that we have created. So we will write here VW underscore. Like the way we were using CSP underscore while creating the stored procedure. Here we will use VW underscore followed by the view name. Okay. Then we will begin our logic in this as block, and in the as I'm writing here select star from employee. So if you see the basic difference between view syntax and store procedure syntax, in store procedure we were writing our logic in between begin and end, in between begin and end, whereas while creating view we don't have begin and end. Just we will write a name of the view, we will start with the as, and we will pass our logic. Okay. So here I created a view get employee data, and I start with as, and I selected all from this employee table. That means it will take all the columns or all the records, all the rows from this employee table. Okay. So if I executed this, my view got created. Already this view is stored in my database. And now suppose if I view, let me change the name here, get employee details I will write. So let me execute this. Commands completed successfully. And if I want to view this view, then I will simply write here select star from VW view underscore get employee details. So there is not exec or execution we are using. So you can see I use this view and I fetch the all details from my employee table. Okay. So write this. If there is any doubt, let me know. I will explain in detail while taking the next example. Write this. If there is any doubt, let me know. I will explain you one more time by taking some other example. Wait just a minute. Okay, created this view. Okay, let's
Yes.
see how what's the difference in a syntax in the syntax of view and in the syntax of stored procedure. So if you see in the stored procedure, after as we will write logic in between begin and end, whereas while creating view we are not writing begin and end. Okay, this is the first difference. Second difference is that when we were creating stored procedure, at the time of execution of that stored procedure, we were writing exec, that is execute, followed by the stored procedure name. And when we are writing these views or when we are viewing or returning this view, we are simply writing the select statement. Select all from view get employee details. So these are the three major differences. One difference is that views will not store any physical data on our server and stored procedures stores physical data on the server. Second difference, while writing the logic in stored procedure, we will write logic in between begin and end block, whereas in the views, we don't have begin and end block. Third difference, while executing the query, when we are executing the stored procedure, that time we are writing exec execution followed by our stored procedure name. And in the views, we will simply write a select star, that means all from that view. Got it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, great. One more major difference is that suppose if I want to give access of my stored procedure to the some other person who is working in some other department, then he needs to have access of my complete database. But when I'm storing this view, it doesn't need to have access of my complete database. Got it? So let's alter this view. So to alter the view, I will write here alter view followed by my view name view underscore get employee details. Get employee details in as what am I doing here? While creating these views, I am selecting only employee ID, employee first name, employee last name, and address. I'm omitting here salary column because salary is a sensitive information. I don't want to share with anybody else. So I'm omitting my salary column from employee table, and also I'm writing here where clause where employee ID is greater than 3. That means I'm hiding details for first 3 employee IDs, all the records for first 3 employee IDs, and also I'm hiding my salary column. Okay, so alter view followed by our view name. In the as, I'm selecting only employee ID, employee first name, employee last name, address column from my employee table, and I'm giving here employee ID is greater than 3. Greater than 3 means first 3 records I'm hiding, and also from the column salary column I'm hiding, and I'm storing in my this view. So let me save it. Commands completed successfully. So if I share this view with any one of the person from other departments, and if we execute this view, then you can see he is not getting the salary column, and also he is not getting the let me change the name details I'm giving, right? So you can see here, as I selected employee ID column is visible, first name, last name and address column is visible, salary column is not visible, and I gave where clause, and in the where clause I told employee ID greater than 3. So first 3 records for employee ID 1, 2, 3 are hidden here. Okay, write this syntax and understand. If there is any doubt, let me know. Once it is done, please let me know. Okay, great. Great. So let's alter the view that we have created. And what I want to do here, I want to add one more column, employee date of birth. Now, where this employee date of birth is present, employee date of birth present in which table? In employee date of birth table, right? So we can even join our tables while creating the views. Okay. So now I'm altering the view that we recently created. And while altering this view, what am I doing here? I'm adding employee date of birth also. And now as employee date of birth is present in my employee date of birth table, so I need to perform a join operation in between employee table and employee date of birth table. So let's alter my view to add employee date of birth table. So I'm altering, so alter view followed by my view name. Then I will start with this as, and I will select employee ID from my employee table. I'm using alias name as EMP here, comma. Then I'm using employee full name function that we recently created. So dbo.fn underscore get employee full name. Now this employee full name is having two parameters. So I'm passing employee first name as the first parameter and employee last name as a second parameter and storing in a column called as full name. Then I'm taking this address and then I'm taking this employee date of birth. Okay. Now these columns are from two different tables, so we need to perform a join operation. So from employee, as I'm using here alias name EMP, so I will give here alias name EMP. I'm performing here left join employee date of birth table as EDOB. Okay, so let me give here alias name EDOB dot employee date of birth table and here EMP dot address. Okay, so from employee as EMP, left join employee date of birth as EDOB. On in on condition, we need to give the common columns from both the tables. So from employee date of birth table, I am taking employee ID column, equalizing with employee table, I am taking employee ID column, and also I am passing one where condition EMP dot employee ID greater than 3. So how many things I'm hiding here? I'm hiding my salary column. Also, I'm hiding my first three records. And what am I adding? I'm adding employee date of birth column from my employee date of birth table while altering this view. Okay. So let me select this and execute. Commands completed successfully. Now if I write here, select star from employee details, view employee details, and if I executed it, then you can see I got a view here where you can see employee ID column is present, employee full name is present, address is present, and employee date of birth is present. And we are hiding first three records, so first three records are not visible here. Okay. Now, if suppose user wants to view only records for 5 and 6, he can use it by using this where clause. So he will write select all from view get employee details where employee ID in 5, 6. So he can view only the records where employee ID is 5 and 6. Got it? If he wants to view for 1 and 2, will he get? If he wants to view the records for 1 and 2, will he get?
No, sir.
No, because we are using where clause to hide those records. Okay, any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Then write this syntax. If there is any doubt, let me know. write this. Once it is done, please let me know. Yeah, is it done for all? Shall I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So next concept in views is orphan view. Okay, I I will just explain this view and we will create it tomorrow. So orphan view means what? Now what we did here, we have created one view, get employee details. Now while creating this view, what we did, we selected employee ID from this employee table, then first name, last name, and address from employee table, and this employee date of birth from employee date of birth table. I already created this view, and while creating these views, I'm using two tables. One table I'm using here as an employee, another table I'm using here as a employee date of birth. Okay, employee date of birth. These two tables I'm using, and from these two tables, I'm using different columns, right? Now suppose I created this view on these two tables by using different columns. And what if I did here? What if I, wrote here update query or alter table and I deleted, suppose this employee first name column. Okay, I'm creating this view on these two columns, employee table and employee date of birth. I already created this view, and after creating the view, what I did, I deleted employee last name from this employee table. Employee last name from this employee table. Or what I did, I deleted complete employee table. Now, this view that I created is dependent on this employee table, right? And if I'm creating the column that I'm using while creating this view, or I'm deleting this table that I'm using while creating this view, then what will happen? This view will become orphan, right? This view will become orphan. Now, if this view is becoming orphan, then I won't be able to fetch details further, right? Because this view is dependent on this employee table, this employee first name, last name column, and I'm deleting those employee first name and last name column from my employee table after creating this view. So there is no employee first name, employee last name column present in my employee table. So this view will become orphan. That is called as orphan view. Got it? What is orphan view? Orphan view is nothing but if suppose we are creating any view, and while creating any view, we are using some different tables and some columns from that particular tables. And if I am deleting that particular column or table, then that column and table values are not present in my database. So if I try to fetch the details from that view, I won't be able to get those details because the details are not available, and our view will become orphan. This is called as orphan. Now we have to prevent our view from becoming orphan. So what we will do to prevent our view from becoming orphan, we will schema bind the view. We will schema bind the view. Okay, and when we will schema bind the view, if suppose I'm creating any view and I'm schema binding that view, then whatever the columns, whatever the tables that I'm using to create this view, those tables and column I won't be able to drop in future. And this is how we can prevent our view from becoming orphan. Now, if you see here, while creating these views, I am not using with schema binding. That means I am not schema binding my tables. So in near future, I can drop this column, I can drop these tables, and if I drop, then my view will become orphan. And to prevent my view from becoming orphan, what I can do, I can schema bind my view, and to schema bind my view, I need to write with schema binding before passing my logic. With schema binding before passing my logic. So if I am writing this with schema binding and I am selecting this employee ID, employee first name and address column from my employee backup table, then I won't be able to drop any column or this employee backup table because I'm schema binding this with my view. Got it? And this is the way to prevent our view from becoming a orphan. Got it? Any doubt in this orphan view? What is orphan view? We will create this orphan view, but any doubt in the theoretical concept? What is this orphan view? Any doubt?
So please explain once.
Okay. Orphan view means what? Views for which the base table column has changed or altered is called as orphan view. That means you can see here I'm creating one view called as get employee details. Now while creating this view get employee details, I'm using this employee column, employee table and employee date of birth table. These two tables I'm using and I'm taking columns from these two tables. Okay. Now I created this employee details views, and while creating these views, I'm using employee ID, employee first name, employee last name, address, and employee date of birth column. But after creating this view here, what if I dropped my employee ID column afterwards? What if I drop my employee date of birth column afterwards? If I dropped it, then there will not be employee date of birth column present in my database. So it will affect my view. My view will become orphan because I'm dropping these columns. So there is no data available for the employee date of birth, so my view will become orphan. Now I have to prevent my view from being orphan. So what I can do, I will schema bind it. I will schema bind my view, and to schema bind my view, after creating the view, I will write with schema binding, and then I will pass my logic. So when I'm writing with schema binding and I'm passing my logic, so it will schema bind it with this view table. So whatever the columns that I'm mentioning here, I won't be able to drop those columns further because I'm schema binding them with these views. So we can refrain our view from being an orphan view. Got it? So this is the theoretical concept. For the view, we will write the syntax by using this with schema binding in tomorrow's class. Okay, and also we will see can we drop the columns that we have mentioned here, and why we are not able to drop, and how we can protect our view. Okay. So let's meet in tomorrow's class. That's it for that's enough for today. I will share this module number 5 notebook with you today itself, so you can revise stored procedures and views that we learned in today's and yesterday's class. So tomorrow we will create an view by using with this schema binding, and also we will jump on the DML operations on views. Okay. So any doubt in today's class? If there is any doubt, please let me know. Else you can drop off. Okay. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.